Well, good morning. We are glad that you joined us, and we are here talking about holiday scams. We're actually going to do the 12 scams Christmas. And my name is Jason. I'm with the Better Business Bureau. The name of our Better Business Bureau is actually the Better Business Bureau Serving the Fall Line Corridor. Now, we came up with that name because we have offices in Augusta, Macon, and Columbus, and that was known as the Fall Line. And we actually serve over 77 counties, over 47,000 businesses, and over 2.5 million consumers. And it seems like we're always doing something. There's always something going on, and we cannot do it by ourselves because we have some wonderful friends. And one of our friends is, it's Mr. Sean Conroy. And Mr. Sean, will you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
Hey, thank you, Jason. And we appreciate the Better Business Bureau inviting us to this holiday scam webinar. And Jason said it, in consumer protection, it takes a number of players to working together to help stop scams and protect consumers. And so at the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division, we're the state level consumer protection law enforcement organization, and we enforce a number of consumer protection laws, including the Fair Business Practices Act. We have counselors available for consumers to contact Monday through Friday. And we, on our website at consumer.ga.gov, you can learn more about us as well. Our phone number, and we'll probably give this out again later in the program, is 404-651-8600. So what we try to do at our office is investigate complaints when they're in the public interest. We don't represent individual, and we get about 18 to 20,000 complaints a year. We have a staff of about 45 people, investigators, lawyers, counselors that again talk to consumers. So we also place consumer information on our website. We have a program called Ask Consumer Ed where we answer consumer questions twice a month from real consumers, and so that's our organization in a nutshell. And I'll pass it back to you, Jason.
Well, it's always funny to me when people say, what do you do at the Better Business Bureau? And I always say, well, a lot. And because the Better Business Bureau tends to act like a funnel or an intake, and we get it. And what we do is, with these great friends like Sean at the Attorney General's, Consumer Protection Division, we're able to say, hey, it needs a greater look. It needs a state level investigation. And so we're able to push it up to him. But then when we need to go, more with a federal level, then we call our friend Anna. And Anna's always been a great friend to our Better Business Bureau. And so would you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, Jason. And just to echo Sean, we always appreciate partnering with the Better Business Bureau as well as the State Attorney General's office. We can't do our work without our great partners. And so we just appreciate being invited to be here today and to hear from everyone about what they're seeing in regards to scams, because the Federal Trade Commission's mission is to stop unfair or deceptive acts or practices in the marketplace. And that runs the gamut from anything from robocalls to frauds to some of the scams we're going to talk about today to nationwide false advertising. I do have to give a standard disclaimer before we begin that any views I express today are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Commission or any of the individual 5 commissioners. But I look forward to talking with everybody and getting some great information out there about how people can protect themselves from some of the scams we're going to be talking about today.
So with these different scams, we're calling it the 12 scams of Christmas. And I can promise you that a scammer is not your true love. So he's not going to be bringing you, 2 turtle doves. But what I can tell you is that the organizations that you would turn to for relief during scams or for help with scams or to, what we would prefer to be educated before you ever fall for a scam is the Better Business Bureau, the Attorney General's Office, the Consumer Protection Division, and the Federal Trade Commission. So what we're doing is we're bringing all three of them to you. Well, that's a perfect segue into our fourth scam, Anna, and you hit it nail on the head, people of all ages. Because with temporary holiday jobs and with job scams in particular, we've seen a lot with, young people and babysitters. And so tell us more about the job scams, Anna.
Sure, especially this time of year when people might be looking to make extra money. Job scams are certainly something that we see that will rise during the later months of the year. And these could happen to anyone, as you said, Jason, that a lot of times it's younger people who are looking for work, but oftentimes it just really runs the gamut as people, especially who are looking to pick up some extra cash during the holidays. So there's a few things to look out in order to avoid a job scam. A lot of job searching is happening online these days. And so it makes it harder because there's not that personal connection right from the start. You're not going into an office and meeting somebody, for instance. But be suspicious if you're offered a job without an interview. A lot of times a scammer will say, I'm too busy, or I'm out of the country, or there's some reason that they will put out there for you not being able to meet them either in person or at the business location so that you can find out if this job is legitimate or not. A second thing that we often see is people who are taken in by job scams are sent a check before they ever start working. A lot of times the business, which is actually the scammer, will say, here's a check. This is your first paycheck, but you also need to go out and buy supplies with it, or you need to buy, as part of your job, you're supplying me with something and sending it along. What happens is when you deposit that check into your bank account, it will take a few days for the bank to discover that it's a fraudulent check. And what happens is that you're left holding the bag for that check. And the scammer is often then sent the supplies or whatever it is that he's told you to purchase, and they're making the money off of it. And the third thing is, before you give out any sensitive information to an employer, such as your social security number, sometimes they'll ask for your bank account information under the guise that you're being enrolled in some automatic payroll. Do your homework. Make sure that you do a thorough check of the company, check reviews, especially check complaints, even if it's going into your browser and Googling the name of the company and complaint after it. Go to the BBB scam tracker, go to ftc.gov and see what else you should be looking out for in terms of job scams. But make sure that your personal information stays private and that you're not giving it away to somebody who might be using it for their own good.
Yeah, 100%. I love that, because the last thing you want is for somebody to debit your checking account rather than to deposit the paycheck. It's a bad situation. This is, ever since this is actually becoming our job scams was really increasing, and then COVID hit. And so a lot of it is masked. Everybody's blaming COVID for everything. And we've seen a huge uptick in these job scams. What about y'all, Sean?
Yeah, we've seen it too. And this is another area where the logo of a company can be used in an imposter email or posting. The scam artist may go and retrieve actual language of jobs from a legitimate employer. And so again, this is another area where it's the scam artist will use legitimate information from a real employer and create fake postings. And the online, what we see is sometimes it takes some time for the job poster platform to figure out it's a scam. And we have to remember that jobs are posted in many different platforms, and check the recommendations from the individual platform that you're on as well, to see what they say about their particular platform when it comes to job scams.
Absolutely. So, I get to speak to a lot of high schoolers, and I say, if you just get better at doing your homework, you're going to have a more successful life. And that rings true with all of us still today.